Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to yet another Cutter Top 10 NHL Sports video. And today we're going to be looking at the top 10 NHL worst free agent signs of all time. Players that the team needed to put in few and actually it bit them in the butt. It does happen. And we have 10 of them for you. All right. First off, number 10 is Sean Avery, Dallas 2008. Sean Avery was kind of controversial. He played for the Red Wings. Did he win the cup in 2002 with them? I can't remember. But yeah, he was with the Kings. He was making fun of French Canadians and all that. He kind of got himself out of LA. And then he went to New York to play for the Rangers. He was okay, but he had some issues and all that. And then Dallas decided to sign him to a 4-year, $15 million deal after Avery left New York. So Dallas was willing to put him up for like $4 million a year, which was pretty good for an agitator. Remember, Avery is the guy who agitated Werner Berger so much during one game in 2008 in the playoffs that they made a rule out of it. Unfortunately, he had terrible play, and worst of all, in December 2008, in a game in Calgary, Sean Avery talked to reporters and basically said that he hopes that Dion Phaneuf enjoyed his sloppy seconds. Well, it was because Sean Avery used to go with Felicia Cuthbert. You know her, Canadian actress who was part of Popular Mechanics for Kids and The Girl Next Door with Emil Hirsch. Well, she was there and she was dating Dion Phaneuf, and I think they married. Yeah, Dion Phaneuf married Felicia Cuthbert. But anyhow, Avery was trying to get publicity for the game, but it failed miserably. It made him look like a fool, and Bettman ordered Dallas to do something about it. So Dallas suspended him indefinitely. They gave him a buyout, and he was done for. He had to serve some type of suspension and all that. And then the Rangers managed to pick him up, and he became a Rangers bad boy for a few more years. So anyhow, that ruined his goodwill. Number 9 is Christian Ehrhoff of the 2011 Sabres. So the Buffalo Sabres were trying to ride high. After all, they made the playoffs. They lost to Philly in the first round, but better times were ahead for Buffalo and all that. So Buffalo decided to make a few moves. The first move was to get Christian Ehrhoff a 10-year, $40 million contract with Buffalo. So Ehrhoff, who played for the Sharks for a while, led it. Yeah, so Buffalo gave $4 million a year for 10 years for Ehrhoff, the Deutsch player. Well, German. Anyway, he played 3 years for the Sabres, could not be the franchise defenseman, and kept missing the playoffs. And Ehrhoff was bought out. So Ehrhoff basically was an airhead, if you will. Well, the Sabres were making dumb moves and all that. So anyhow, yeah, that's not the last time we'll see the Buffalo Sabres 2011 on this list. There's one more to come. Number 8 is Bobby Holik of the New York Rangers 2002. So the New York Rangers were known for making massive mistakes and all that with their players and all that. Because from 1998 to 2004, the Rangers were in a slump, missing the playoffs every year. Since their conference final run in '97, they had the money. New York bought a lot of players, but there were a lot of problems and all that. The earliest such example was Bobby Holik, although there is one that will be talked about later as part of another injury, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, Bobby Holik was signed from the hated New Jersey Devils for 5 years, $45 million, so $9 million a year to leave New Jersey or the swamp for New York or the Big Apple. He only put up 127 points in 2 seasons. He just had nothing going for him, and then the Rangers bought him out before the end of the lockout. So basically, Holik just couldn't do the job, and then I think he went back to New Jersey. Number 7 is Marc Moose Messier, Vancouver, 1997. Talk about the Rangers. It's someone that they gave up. So Messier was a great player for the Edmonton Oilers. People forget that he spent one season in the World Hockey Association, or the WHA, with Cincinnati. And then once they were bought out, Messier was put in the NHL draft, and Edmonton drafted him. So the Moose is loose. And, he was trying his best. And, well, you know, he did well for Edmonton, and then they gave him a bad contract, so he decided to hold out before his trade to the Rangers before the 91-92 season. So Messier played well for the Rangers. He even was partnered up with Wayne Gretzky for the 96-97 season once Gretzky was sent to the Rangers in free agency in 96. Like, Gretzky had little choice because he wanted to go to Vancouver. They couldn't make a deal. And Toronto was about to get Gretzky possibly. He wanted to play in Toronto, but Leafs owner Steve Stavros was not happy, saying that, how much will that put the butts in the seats? They were selling out every game, but basically his stupidity got the Rangers Gretzky. And then Messier, after that one season in 97, decided to um, head away and went to Vancouver because Vancouver gave him a good contract. Gretzky said if he knew Messier was going to leave after the 97 season, he would not have signed with the Rangers. But anyway, Messier went to Vancouver and he basically pissed off Canuck fans by asking for number 11. One problem, though, that was retired for Wayne Mackey, who died of brain cancer in 1974. So he got his number 11. He played like shit for 3 years, and then the Rangers finally got him back. But they buried a toy hatchet to signify that he was welcome back to New York, and Vancouver fans could not have been happier. Number 6 is Alex Yashin of the Islanders, 2001. So anyway, Yashin was not a completely a free agent. He was actually traded from Ottawa to the Islanders, but he kind of signed a massive contract. So Alex Yashin was with Ottawa. He was drafted in 1994, and he played pretty well for them. No, sorry, was he there from the first season or no? Or was it 93, 94 he was drafted? Somewhere he was drafted. But yeah, Yashin was put for Ottawa, but then he got above his own station, if you will, asked for a massive contract, didn't get it, so he sat out the whole year. Actually, I think he almost went to other teams, but Ottawa said that the contract states that you have to stay in Ottawa. So basically, he refused to play for Ottawa and sat out. And then Ottawa seemingly had no choice, so they traded him to the New York Islanders. The Islanders were willing to pick up Yashin, so Ottawa did a sign and trade, if you will, with the Islanders. They got Wade Red and Zdeno Chara back, which actually worked out quite well. No, sorry. Wade Red was always in Ottawa. What am I thinking? Nevertheless, Yashin signed for a 10-year, $87.5 million deal, so $8.75 million a year. Highest paid players, and the New York Islanders thought they were good. He did lead the Islanders to the 2002 Stanley Cup playoffs against the Leafs, but lost in the first round. Oh, Jordan. Oh, Jordan. Yeah. Anyway, so he was unable to carry the team, and after 5 seasons, after the 2006 season, he was too much of a bother, so he was bought out, and I don't think he played in the NHL after that. Number 5 is Brad Richards of the New York Rangers in 2011. So the Rangers were looking desperate to do something. They missed the 2010 playoffs. In 2011, they actually got swept by the Washington Capitals. So the Rangers thought they needed to go all in. So they found out Brad Richards, who had a great career as a Rimouski Oceanic before Crosby made Rimouski look cool. He helped out and helped Tampa win the 2004 Stanley Cup by actually having over 8 game winning goals or something like a new NHL record, Brad Richards. And then, he was with Tampa and he was looking pretty good for Tampa. So anyhow, Richards would leave for the Rangers, sign a 9-year, $60 million deal. So that's about almost $7 million a year. Almost. Yeah. Almost $7 million a year. And that was big. The Rangers wanted him, and for a few years, he looked pretty good and all that. So he had bad expectations. He did try to lead the Rangers in the 2014 Stanley Cup Finals, but failed miserably and was bought out. Yeah, his contracts just kind of sucked. And another former Lightning teammate, Martin St. Louis, made more sense for the Lightning. I thought Bradford was traded back to Tampa or something, but I guess no, that was Callahan traded. Um, One massive free agent signing that actually should be on this list, technically, is Ilya Kovachuk's with the New Jersey Devils. I'm beginning to think about it and all that. And in 2013, the Devils wanted to sign him to this big 15-year contract. One tiny little problem, though. Kovachuk could not sign that deal because it circumvented the NHL's law and all that. So, yeah, they had to try to rework the contract for many years and all that. And then Kovachev decided to hightail it to Russia in the KHL, and then came back after a few years. But still, that was pathetic. Anyway, next up is number 4, Philly Lanio Buffalo 2011. I told you I was getting back to Buffalo 2011 when I talked with the Airhoff entry. Philly Lanio, 6 years, $27 million, one good playoff run, but it was because he sunk the Sabres by himself. He was picked up. Buffalo says if you can't beat him, join him, make him join him. And Philly Lano actually signed with those Sabres after his job with Philly. Buffalo thought they had struck gold. Unfortunately, though, he only scored 10 goals in 137 games before Buffalo just bought his contract out and said, see ya, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. So Lano sucked in scoring goals and all that. He just couldn't produce for Buffalo. And basically, Buffalo, as of this video, they are in playoff position in 2026. So they would end a 15-year Stanley Cup playoff drought. And ironically, that was actually the longest in NHL history. Can you believe that? No team has ever gone past 12 years without a playoff appearance. And the Sabres have 15 years. The Panthers had the longest drought from 2000 to 2012. I mean, that's one record the Leafs don't have, and I'm glad for it. Okay. Number 3 is Wade Redden, Rangers 2008. Talked about those pesky New York Rangers. They kept getting been on bad contracts and all that. So the Rangers were trying to rebuild and all that after the lockout. They had a few runs with the playoffs in 06 and 07. And then in 08, they got taken out. They took out the New Jersey Devils before being taken out themselves. So the Rangers decided to try something fresh and new and picked up a quarterback, a power play quarterback, if you will. And that's a defenseman. His name, Wade Redden, who was with Ottawa and was a great player. I would keep thinking he won the Calder for for Rookie of the Year, but he did not. But yeah, Wade Redden ends up going from Ottawa to the Rangers, 6 years, $39 million. So So it's a six. So for about $6 million. Unfortunately, Redden struggled from the start. He had a problem. He just couldn't score points for the Rangers, and Glenn Saber basically was booed by a lot of people. And the Fire Saber rallies were huge and all that. I know a lot about the Rangers stuff firsthand because I've been part of the Blue Shirt Underground group for New York Ranger fans, despite me being a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, obviously. I went to Blue Shirt Underground because of the fact that Eddie Geik did the video about John Davidson's mask and Ranger Crisis and then had a scroll at the bottom about well, they call it podcast. So I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And I've been there since 2010. Nevertheless, Wade Redden just sucked and all that. Everyone hated that deal. They put Redden in his NHL contract down in the AHL so that it didn't help the ruin the cap and all that. But the NHL decided to make the rule that you can't put a big $6 million deal into the AHL just to circumvent the cap. So basically, Redden was bought out, and Ranger fans were happy for it. Number 2 is yes, Toronto Maple Leafs got bit. David Clarkson, 2013. I was thinking of what was I thinking? Sabres. Oh well, Buffalo got bit with Chris Drury and Danny Briere leaving for other teams. There was one free agent thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about Wade Redden or even Philly Laniel or Brad Richards. It'll come to me. But nevertheless, David Clarkson, 2013. Yeah, Leafs fans got burned. So many stupid Toronto Maple Leaf trades and all that. Oh yeah, the power play quarterback. That's what I was thinking. When I was talking about Wade Redden and the power play quarterback, I forgot to mention that the need for a power play quarterback is terrible. Ask any Leaf fan in 1990 because in 1989, the Leafs got their power play quarterback in the name of Tom Kurvers from the Devils for a first round pick in 1991. Kurvers sucked. He was traded away to the Islanders. And worst of all, the Leafs were the second worst team in 1991, with the Sharks picking second overall. The Nordiques went first, then the Sharks, the expansion Sharks. The Leafs would have had the number 3 pick. One problem, though, they traded the Devils. And guess who the Devils got? That's right, Scotty Niedermayer. Nevertheless, David Clarkson's deal was another Devils Leafs problem. Another former Devil screwing Leafs over. I can't think of it. So yeah, David Clarkson, 7 years, $36 million. The Leafs had to have him. And he was, of course, a member of Kitchener. That's right. David Clarkson, former Kitchener Ranger, Clarkie's kids and all that. A great fundraiser when he was with the Kitchener Rangers. But nevertheless, I always wanted David Clarkson. I wanted a Kitchener Ranger on my NHL team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I wanted, and I got one, David Clarkson. Although Boyd Devereaux also was a Leaf, and he was a Kitchener Ranger. But nevertheless, Clarkson had a 7-year, $36 million deal. Unfortunately, it started to go sour right away. Not because he had poor play or injury. It was in preseason against Buffalo. He went bonkers and started a line brawl against the Sabres and got himself a 10-game suspension. So great start to his career. What's even worse was he only scored 26 points in 118 games. I think he had a 30-goal season before he joined the Leafs. So that was just terrible. Fortunately, the Leafs managed, they didn't need to buy his contract. They traded his contract to Columbus for Nathan Horton's contract. And of course, Nathan Horton wasn't coming back to the NHL anytime soon. So David Clarkson ended up going to Columbus, and the Leafs got rid of that contract smartly. Yeah. Sorry, Columbus. Anyway, number 1 is Scotty Gomez, Montreal, 2009. So it was kind of a sign-in trade because Scotty Gomez was this big boy from New Jersey who was from Alaska, and a lot of people say, Scott Gomez is Hispanic. How the heck is he from Alaska? Well, one of his parents is Hispanic, and they settled in Alaska. Can you not do that? So anyway, Scotty Gomez played for the Devils, was the Calder Trophy winner for Rookie of the Year, and then he played well for the Devils. And then he became a Ranger after a few years, in like 2006, I believe, or 7. He sucked for the Rangers, and the Rangers managed to finagle Scott Gomez to the Montreal Canadiens in 2009. So Montreal needed a strong center like Scott Gomez, so they broke the bank. Well, they picked him up in a sign trade from the Rangers in exchange for this defenseman named Ryan McDonough, who actually shocked a lot of people by actually producing. And the Rangers, for once, were on the right ends of the fleece. They fleeced the Habs. They didn't get fleeced. They fleeced them. And it was huge. It was a 7-year, $51 million deal that the Canadiens gave him. He struggled to produce, and after a few years, he was just gone from the NHL and the Montreal Canadiens. It's strange how, bringing out the worst gives you more stories than bringing out the best. That's just me. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond.